Well, good day, folks. Welcome to MB Wildman channel. On today's video, we're going to talk a little bit about how to make your own fat wood resin and use your own fat wood for fire starting, make your own fire starting material. And I know there's 1,000 videos on YouTube about how to do this, but what I do is just a little bit different than most. So stick with me and we'll walk you through that process. Listen, if you haven't yet subscribed to MB Wildman channel, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. Turn on that bell so that you get notified when we upload new content. Certainly wouldn't want you to miss any videos. And as always, we're looking for questions, comments, concerns, whatever you got. Feel free to share those in the comments down below, and we'll get back to you as soon as we possibly can on those. So we're out here, it's February 1st, and Elliot's here, and we're out here on a family hike, just out through the Meduxakeg Trail here in Woodstock, New Brunswick. If you ever get a chance to come out through this way, it's beautiful all times of the year. Especially in the wintertime, there's great trails, they're really well marked, and we're right here on the edge of the Meduxakeg. And we're coming by, and I spotted this tree, this nice big fir, and it's been injured a little while ago. So what we're looking for is, we're looking for some of the pitch or the resin that has dripped down as this tree tries to heal itself. So we'll get a close-up if we can of that and show you exactly what we're gonna try to collect. What we're really looking for is these little tiny balls, these little tiny drips of resin that have come down from the tree and then just sort of hardened here on the edge of the tree. We're going to use this in our process to make our own fat wood fire starter, and we're going to combine that with a couple other things, and I'll show you that process after a bit. But I never leave home without the ability to collect some of this stuff if we happen to get it. The wintertime's great for it because this is all hard, right? So in the spring and in the summer, this is going to be a little more messy to collect than it is right now. So Elliot's got a little knife with him, and excuse me. We're just going to take some of the round parts off, and we're going to make sure we're real careful not to cut the tree. Okay, and we're going to collect them up. We're going to get as many of these as we can. See that? That just kind of breaks off there, and you end up with it in a little bottle, and it's real good that way.
Using it out, the one just fell.
So we got to be careful, Elliot, and we got to collect them into the bottle. Okay. Oh, missed that one. I'll get it. That one just fell. See, they just fall like a little drip onto the snow. And we'll get as many of these as we can collected up. Okay, so all you need to do, and you can collect as much of this as you can from the tree. You're not hurting it any, of course. You're just collecting the little drips of the resin, of the pitch that the tree uses to heal itself. And the more of it that you can collect, the better. Some of these trees will have great big, drips and blobs depending on the size of the injury of the tree. If there was a branch broken off or this tree was blown over in the wind, then you'll find that there's lots of big pieces of this. And if it's a little tree like this with a little bit of damage and you end up with just the little tiny things, that's okay too. You really don't need a lot of this, but for those of us that are into survival things and making our own types of fat wood and types of fire starter, when you get a chance to collect this, then you should collect as much of it as you can, because you never know when you're going to find the next little tree that needs it. So, want to get some more, Elliot?
Okay.
Great. Get that one right there. That's a good one.
This one?
Yeah. Yeah, good job. Well, we're back here in the skinning shed, and I'm going to show you how we use that resin from the tree that we just collected here a little bit ago, and we're going to combine that with a couple other ingredients and make your own fat wood style fire starter. So this isn't new, the idea of making your own fire starter. There's a bunch of different videos on YouTube about it, but what makes mine a little bit different is that I mix in some resin, some of that tree resin that we just collected, in with my mixture, and I'll show you how great that works out and what to do. So a couple different ways you can do it. First of all, if you want, just you can use like little sticks that you buy. I picked these ones up at the dollar store. These are just little, I guess they're called wooden dowels, but they're only about 1/8 of an inch thick. And what you can do is you can use these if you want to. I typically don't, simply because I don't like to purchase anything that I can get for free that works just the same way. But if you want them all to be uniform, if you want to be able to, like chop them up and keep them in a little metal tin or something like that for your fire starter, then you can go ahead and get these. I like to just take just a little chunk of hardwood that we were using. We were making some cutting boards at the school, so we've got a few little pieces of hardwood left over. And I just like to take and cut those into some little shavings and use those that way. So there's a bunch of different ways that you can do this, but I'm just going to show you what I do and what I prefer. All right, so first thing you're going to want to do, depending on, if you're going to use the little stick kind, then you're just going to want to go ahead and cut those up or break them up, whatever size you want to use. And if you're going to just do what I do, usually is just grab yourself a piece of hardwood, or it doesn't have to be hardwood. It can be whatever type of wood you want. Hardwood tends to burn a little longer once you get it lit. And you're just going to want to peel it down and make little shavings. Now, I don't chop mine up into bits, like I don't chop mine up into kindling. I just want these types of shavings, okay? And I typically, I guess I try to make, if you can make quite a large batch of these, so to speak, enough to do you for a while. So we'll just shave some of this down. Okay, so I'm just going to do a little small batch here just to show you what I do. Typically, I would do a lot more than this all at once, and I would make, a bunch of this fire starter, so I would have it for all season. The next part is relatively simple. You're going to need some type of way to heat. Now, you can do this on your kitchen stove, depending on your family situation, whether your wife lets you cook on the stove or not, or whatever. But I like to do this outside just because it does have a bit of a smell to it at the beginning. So you're going to need I use a little cast iron skillet here. It doesn't matter what you use. You can use a pot. Makes no difference. Just something that you can cook in. And you're going to need just an all-purpose candle. So these are from the dollar store again, and there are 5 in this package for $1 or $1.25 or whatever it is. And I like to use these. I don't like to use the paraffin wax. I just like to use a regular, just a little all-purpose candle. Okay, nothing fancy or out of the ordinary. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to break that up into my into the pan here. Okay, so I usually try to get a couple of 3 pieces out of it just so it melts faster. Okay, it doesn't have to be too particular. Nothing fancy. There we go. Okay, so 2 or 3 pieces. I use one of those little candles, but you don't need a lot. And then we're going to use the resin that we collected from the tree the other day. Okay, so you should try to have almost equal amounts of wax and resin. I like to try to mix this almost 50-50, but having more of one or the other isn't really going to hurt any, but adding the resin really does help. Okay, so we're just going to we're going to heat this up and bring this to a boil. Now, the wax and the resin should start to melt right away, and they'll blend together relatively well. Please keep in mind that you're doing all this stuff at your own risk. Be safe around flames, be safe around stuff that you're boiling and cooking, and that's on you to work safely. You'll hear it right away. The resin will start to snap and crack, and just like you threw a fir branch or a spruce branch into a fire. Okay, but it's creating a really nice mixture. So while this is boiling away, or while it's heating up, it is actually boiling already, but I want the wax to melt all the way. So while we're getting there, I'm going to make sure that I've got some paper towel ready, because once we go through this process, we're going to need an area to dry this. Perfect. Okay, so we're pretty much all melted and we're boiling away here. And what we're going to do next is we're going to take all of our hardwood chips, or all of whatever we've decided we're going to make. We're going to put those into the mixture as it boils. Okay, so as this boils away, and as this resin wax mixture it's gonna expand the fiber of your wood that you put in here as it heats, and it's gonna soak itself into the mixture. So this process, once you get it going with the resin and the wax in here, and you've got whatever you're going to use, whatever type of wood you're going to use, this whole process, once it starts to boil after it's all melted, usually only takes about 5 or 6 minutes. Now, the thicker pieces that you use, if you're going to use stuff like this, then it's going to take longer for this wood to open up and for it to absorb the resin and the wax. So just keep in mind that if you're going to use something like this, you have to boil it until this is relatively soft, okay? So it'll take a little longer for that stuff. Okay, so now that we've let this saturate and soak through, we're going to want to take this off the heat, turn the heat off, I guess, and all we're going to want to do now is just take our wood out of the mixture of resin and wax. Okay, so we're going to set it down. Careful, this is hot, by the way. This is a cast iron pan, so it's actually quite hot. And all we're going to do is set this onto our paper towel, okay? So we're just going to scoop it out as best we can. So after I take this out, it blackens it, especially hardwood. The resin will really darken this down. And the wax and the resin have soaked into this hardwood. And from this point, as soon as this is dry and the wax settles into it, you can take this and pack it up. I mean, I like to keep mine in a little metal container that I take with me packing or hiking or whatever. You can put it in a bag, you can just wrap it up, it doesn't matter. But you've just made your own resin and wax fat wood fire starter. And I'll just show you in a second. If you just hang with me, I'll take this out and I'll light this and I'll show you just how great this works. All right, so my fire starter's had a chance to dry, right? So this is the fire starter that we made with the resin and the wax. And I just want to show you how quickly and easily this lights up. So we're out here on the snow, and all we had to do is just give that a little start. And that's going to pick right up and take right off. It'll last, you know, that's probably a good 5 or 10 minutes at least of start, where it's going to use the resin, right? So it's burning the resin and the wax out of the wood. And it's just, I mean, it's as good or better as any that you're going to buy in the store. Anyway, look, I hope this is something that can help you out. And it's cheap, it's easy to do. There's not a whole lot to it. Just collect up some resin while you're out, and a couple old candles. Any old candles will do, and that'll save you buying fire starter. I usually make big batches of this at the beginning of the, in the fall or whatever when I can. I like to collect up some resin in the wintertime once we've had, once it freezes to the trees, so it's not so sticky and awkward to collect. But anyway, until next time, happy hunting from the MB Wildman channel.